Yeah, we're gonna roll it. Roll the intro. Oh my goodness. Hello, everybody. How are y'all doing? Thank you for joining me. This is Her Path, Her Pace, where growth meets grace. And I am your host, Shay. And welcome to another Tuesday. And guess what? Since we had so many issues last week and we didn't get an episode last week, this is episode 2 on this lovely Tuesday. So you didn't get just one, you got 2 on this Tuesday. 2 for Tuesday. I got y'all. So look, we're going to go ahead and dive right in with life lately. Let me tell y'all something. Like I just said, the whole reason why I didn't have an episode last week because of some technical difficulties, and for whatever rhyme or reason, I couldn't upload any large files. Like I could do basic internet stuff and do small things like, TikToks, Instagrams, and things like that. Well, actually, some Instagram wasn't even working for me last week either, really. So that's another thing. So it was just technical difficulties, and it didn't just affect my podcast, it affected school too. But it's okay because I talked to my professor and he was very, very, very understanding. Um, but yeah, that's what's been going on, and it's just been a whirlwind of trying to figure things out and get things situated and stuff like that because my boomstick broke. Like actually in the middle of me like prepping and getting prepared to record, it broke. So we just had to figure it out, switch gears, and make it do what it do, make it work. And so here we are. And yeah, that's that's really that's really what's been going on. But that's also why there wasn't an episode uploaded last week. I was having technical difficulties for whatever reason. Large files, large documents. I couldn't upload them. So yeah, we're trying again this week, and prayerfully, hopefully, everything goes smoothly and you get 2 episodes this week since we missed last week. Yeah, yeah. But that's what's going on in my life. That's what's going on in my world. That is the chaos that I am currently dealing with. All right. So now that we are all caught up with each other, let's go ahead and talk about them blow up goals. Okay. So that was anyways. Um we are in the last week. Like the actual last week of, it's not even a full week. I think we have 5 days left in our 75-day challenge. Oh my goodness. That is so crazy to think. It's been a long 75 days. But here we are. Sorry, I had to check, make sure the mic was on. But here we are. And it's been very nice, and it's a lot of things. And so I am asking you and inviting you all to, like, as you're going through these last 5 days, last week, last 5 days on this challenge, and we're wrapping it up, I'm asking you all to take the time to reflect in these last few days. Think about what you actually learned about yourself and what's different now than 75 days ago. Once again, you don't have to do my list. You can have your own list. You can have a boatload of things on your list. But if you don't and you are doing my list is to go outside and go on a 30-minute walk every day, to work out every day and eat to support that, read 10 pages for fun out of any book, whatever book you find fun, read 10 pages every day, and to journal daily, and to read a chapter out of the Bible every day. And so that is what is on my list. I believe that's everything that's on my list. Yeah. And yeah, so that's That's really it. But once again, your list does not have to be my list. It could be something completely different. It could be two things. And that's it. I think two things make a list. Yeah. My brain. But yes, it doesn't have to be a laundry list of things. It can be two things that you want to do. Because remember, the whole point of this is to simply help you do whatever it is that you feel you need help in doing, whether that's in creating structure and discipline, or reminding yourself to take care of yourself. For me, I also wanted to incorporate time and space to build my relationship and strengthen my relationship with God and things like that, and remind myself to pour back into me and to take care of me and take time out for myself and things like that. So whatever you need, even if you are just now joining us on this episode in these last 5 days, make a list of two to three things. I say at least two things that you want to do in these next 5 days, and you stick to it these next 5 days and end it out strong. That's what I'm gonna say. And you can take us along with you in the journey by doing a hashtag HPHP75 days or hashtag HPHP75 day challenge. And just, take us on the ride, take us on the journey. Let us know how things are going for you. What was that? Okay, I don't know. Whew. But yeah, take us on the ride. Take us with you. Let us know how it's all going and for you and everything. Cool? Cool. So now that we are all glowing and growing and going, let's see who we are in step with on today. So, for this week's shared steps, I want to give flowers to Mrs. Tabitha Brown. And something that I admire about Tabitha is the way she has presented and carried herself throughout the seasons of her life that she shared with us. She's built a career as an actress, author, entrepreneur, content creator, but what stands out the most to me is her authenticity and her faith. Tabitha is someone who openly talks about trusting God's timing even when it doesn't make sense. She has shared her journey of pursuing dreams, facing setbacks, navigating uncertainty, and continuing to move forward with grace and intention. And I think that's something a lot of us can relate to. I know I can. In a world that constantly tells us to rush, compare, and chase the next thing, Tabitha reminds people that growth takes time. She reminds us that becoming who we're meant to be isn't always a straight path, and that sometimes the greatest thing we can do is simply trust the process and keep showing up. Beyond her accomplishments, there is a warmth and sincerity about her that makes people feel seen. She encourages people to embrace who they are, trust where they are, and believe that what is meant for them will arrive in its time. So, for this week's shared steps, we are giving flowers to Tabitha Brown for her authenticity, her faith, her encouragement, and her reminder that there is no need to rush what God is growing. So, thank you, Ms. Tabitha Brown, for showing us what it looks like to walk with purpose, grace, and patience. Okay, so now that we are all in step, let's go ahead and set the mood with some tunes. So, for this week's Her playlist, it's actually just one song on this playlist, and I believe that this song really embodies like the current season that I'm in, and it's about, being in this time of reflection and learning and understanding and just being moving into a place and growing into a place where all of these things are happening, all of these things are being done, and overall getting gratitude and having gratitude for things happening and still happening that even I can't see. Okay? Like truly trusting the process, trusting the journey, trusting my walk with God, trusting and being faithful and having faith and standing still and knowing and strong and all of the things that come with walking by faith and not by sight, and just, yeah. And this song to me reflects that and fits this episode because this episode is reflection episode and all of that. So yeah, the song is Flowers by Samantha Ebert. I hope I'm saying your last name correct. Ebert. But yes, Flowers by Samantha Ebert. But yes, the song has been on repeat for a few weeks now, and yeah, that's our song for this week's playlist. Okay, so now that the mood is set, let's go ahead and walk through this thing, y'all. Okay, so as I mentioned, we still have about a week left, really more like cool. So, as I mentioned, we still have about a week left, more like 5 days left in the 75-day challenge. But before we, rush and speed on through that finish line, I wanted to take a moment to actually sit back and reflect on these past 75 days and talk about a few things that I have learned, am learning, have been revealed to me as I've done this 75-day challenge. Okay. And so, crazy enough, it's a reflection episode. And the biggest thing that I learned throughout these 75 days is that reflection is a part of the process, and it's a two-part process. Well, am I saying that? I hope that makes sense, or it will make sense. Okay, and I mentioned that because of the journaling. And one aspect of journaling, the way I journal, I just write. I write whatever comes to mind, however I'm feeling, whatever questions, concerns, doubts, anything that runs through my brain while I'm journaling gets written down. And it's all expressed right there in that book on paper. All of it. Like, journaling is the one time, and now, granted, haven't always been like that. Journaling was not that easy for me. I was not that forthcoming with how I was feeling at first. But now, in these 75 days, every time I've been journaling, I've just, whatever I was thinking, whatever I was feeling, whatever emotion I felt that day, whatever, I just wrote it. I wasn't trying to be grammatically correct. I didn't care. I just wrote it, right? Okay. And in that process of writing all of the things that I was feeling and expressing it all and getting it down on paper and out of my head, I also took the time to read back my journal entries. And in reading back my journal entries, I realized that reading it back is just as important as writing all of that down. And because and I say that because of, like, as I was going through everything, and these is like I said, this season is a lot of walking by faith, not by sight. And it has felt heavy at times. I have felt heavy and weighed down, and sometimes I felt like I was just failing, and like no sense of direction, no forward movement, no progress, just being stuck in the same spot. But when I read back my journal entries, that was anything but the truth. And I read and I realized every day wasn't heavy. It was so many moments of me laughing, moments of me reading back my stuff and laughing at myself and laughing at whatever ridiculousness I wrote down. And I read new experiences and new emotions and new connections and just excitement and just joy and evidence of, like, my faith growing and just overall growth and pushing myself and daring myself and just pushing my boundaries in the best way possible. And it was all right there in my journal. And it was so crazy because it's like life has a funny way of making you feel like nothing has changed. You know, it can make you feel like you're stuck. Problems don't stop, responsibilities don't stop. Life just keeps lifing. And it can make it hard to see your own growth. And when I read back my journal entries, I was able to see the evidence right there. My journal showed me what I couldn't see on the day to day. Like I said, my faith has grown and is continuing to grow. I am growing more confidence. I'm like my confidence is growing and I'm pushing myself more and mm, I'm daring myself to do more and I'm no longer just going through the cycle of life. Like I'm actually present and I'm here and I'm feeling and I'm breathing and I'm living again in life. Like it was it was all written right there in my journal. It's all there. Proof, the evidence to show that no Shay, no Ariel, no you are not stuck. No, you are not in the same place that it can feel like you are in. No, you're not there anymore. You know? And that was just so crazy. I just had to stop long enough, take the time to read it back, to see it. Yeah, and that was just yeah. And it was a breath of fresh air and I didn't really realize how important it is to also take the time to read back, your journal entries to see. Because, 75 days, that's a long time. I mean, 75 days is a long time. It really is. And so much can happen in a week, let alone 75 days. So much can happen. But even with stuff happening, it gets hard to see it sometimes. It gets very hard to see. And like I said, life gonna continue to be life. So that was something that I learned and have learned and am learning and realizing that it does in fact like journaling is a two-part process. Yeah, write it all down, get it all out, express yourself. At least it's a two-part process for me. Everybody might not need to do it, but for me, it was just as important to write all those feelings down, express everything. It was just as important to do that as is for me to also take the time to go back and read and see like, oh, you have grown, you know? And yeah, so that was first thing, or that was one of the things that I have reflected and realized and learned from these 75 days. The next thing is honestly still something that I'm learning, but it is the importance of just simply creating space for God without any expectations. Because like I've expressed before, I believe and have been taught and all the things that at the root of everything when it comes down to God is that he just wants relationship with you. He wants a relationship with you. And when it comes to any other kind of relationship, friendship, romantic partnership, whatever, if it's a genuine relationship, you don't always want something. You you don't always have an expectation of something. You enjoy being around them. You enjoy their presence and getting to know them and seeing them in a different light and learning things about them and just wanting to be around them like I said, just enjoying their presence, just enjoying the space. It's genuine and not transactional with no expectations. And that's what God wants too. Because I let me not speak for everybody, but I know I have been victim. I have been the one. I definitely, is that victim? Is that the right word? Whatever. I have definitely perpetrated this and coming to God with a checklist every single time. I come to talk to him or spend time with him. But he ain't a genie. That's not. He's not a genie. You know, and we need answers. Yeah, we want answers. Yeah, we want direction, and we always I can't, like I said, let me not say we, because I know I do it sometimes. I do it at times. I do it a lot more than I realize, a lot more than I really probably want to admit. But the honest truth is, yeah, I be one direction. I be needing answers. I be having questions, concerns, so many things going on in my brain. Like, God, just give me a sign. Let me know I'm doing this right. Like, yeah, that's been me. I've been that person. But as I've been on this 75 days, I'm learning and have been learning, still learning, to just simply invite God into my presence. Just create space for Him to just be there, for God to just be there, for the Holy Spirit to just be present with no expectation, to just spend time together. And I've done it in little ways by just starting the day off with gratitude. A simple, quick prayer in the car, or having full on blown conversations of prayer in moments when I'm by myself, or even when I'm out and about and I'm just speaking from my heart and nobody can hear. I'm creating space and just saying thank you and sending praises. Listening to praise and worship music while I'm doing anything, whether it's schoolwork or cleaning or in the car on drives or walking around, and just, with praise and worship music. Even at the gym. Now, granted, at the gym is definitely more Christian gospel rap. Because, yeah, your girl needs a boom boom to get through that workout. I be needing a little bass. Need a little bass. But yeah, even in the gym, just creating the time and creating the space for God's presence, even while I'm in the midst of a crowd, a midst of strangers, to still be right there with me. And I can sit here and act like, that was just so easy. Because, like I said, I still wanted answers. And when you're just creating space and creating and inviting God in and to be present, sometimes He's silent. He don't say nothing. And, like, I still have my questions, my worries, my concerns, and the things. And it wasn't, I, I was at times not comfortable with the silence. I gotta be honest. However, I have learned and I realized by reflecting and looking back over it, and once again, evident in my journal, because I definitely wrote about it a few times, quite a bit, wrote about it, but that just because God was silent didn't mean that He was absent. Because there definitely, every time I created genuine space and wasn't worried or full of worry or doubt or begging, pleading for something, like just genuinely just turning on music, quick, just thank you, I would feel lighter. I would feel at peace. I would have this new sense of groundedness in whatever was going on, whatever what I was doing. And there was no rhyme or reason other than I simply just created space and invited God into my presence and just invited Him to just be there. And I felt that even without any answers. I would feel that even when He was silent and He wasn't saying nothing. And that just was so wild. And for both of these things, for me to even realize it, for me to see it, for me to any of that, the one thing that I had to do for both of them was to simply slow down. Ah, reflection, creating space for God, the growth, to see it all. I had to slow down, and it was all there, all evidence, all evidently there and present. So yeah, that's those are just a couple of the things that I have learned and have walked away and have been revealed to me from my list from the 75-day challenge. And I invite all of you, I invite all of you to do the same in these last few days as we close out this challenge. What have you learned about yourself? What has been revealed to you? If God's included in your journey and your challenge, what has God shown you? Um, what's changed? What's different? Like truly take the time to sit back and acknowledge where you were 75 days ago versus where you are now. And you just might surprise yourself with what you see, you know? But yeah, because you just, you never know, like you never know how much growth you've really had. And the growth you could just be looking for, you might have already just overlooked. It might have already happened. So just take the time to pause and slow down and reflect and see. So, the grace note for this week is that sometimes the answer isn't necessarily more effort, it's reflection. Because growth doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits to be noticed. So, yes, once again, we have reached the end of another episode. And I just want to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all again for sticking it out with me. Shout out to every single person that has participated in the 75-day challenge. It's okay if you got a little rocky along the way. It's okay. I did too. So, it is what it is. But we kept going and we kept showing up. And here we are now, almost to the end. So just take the time this week to reflect over, things that you've learned, things that have been revealed, and things that have changed, and where your growth has lied, over these past 75 days. But yes, so don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and turn on those post bell notifications so you are notified every time an episode drops. And I will see you all next week. And until then, don't forget to pause, breathe, take a beat, and always give yourself some grace.